it's been so long. Hi, Mike. Yeah, it's been forever. Come on in, lovers. We're just waiting for Coach Antinu. We are here for our EZIKO episode. I need to figure out where we pin. Yeah, hi. Yo, Mike, I am definitely gonna call you when I come to Pretoria. Are you still even there?
Hello.
Hey, Mama, unjani?
Yeah, Pila, load shedding. But hey, what's new?
I feel like I'm load shedding because I'm saying fisukulala.
Okay, let me just fix my lighting a little bit because I'm getting shadows. Okay. Ay. So we are sitting. It is what it is.
It is. So, welcome, family lovers. It's another episode of EZIKO, where we are having conversations around family matters. We're having conversations around intimate relationships. Do feel free to interact, engage, ask questions as we go along with the conversation. And today we are deep diving into why relationships don't last. Are people impatient? What's going on? So yeah, that was the request we got. Maybe Coach Antinu, tell us the backstory behind why this particular topic for tonight.
So and funny enough, I did and you did came across a video of a lady who was talking about how much friendships last longer than a lot of relationships, romantic relationships. And when I came across this video, I shared it with a few friends. And these are my friends that I have known for well over 20 years. And we started making jokes about, wow, we've known each other, we've been friends. In fact, a lot of us, I think if somebody has someone that they consider a new friend, the friendship would probably be about 5 years old, you know. And we just started getting into a conversation about actually how many people do we know in our circles who have been with their partners for 10 to 20 years. And this friend of mine and I could only count 2 people that we knew. Everybody else had relationships, but they never make it to the 10-year mark. If actually you make it past the 5-year mark, it's like, wow. And she also could think of 2 people in her circle. So this is what sparked this conversation, because she then said to me, I'm wondering if we are a generation that is impatient, or if we are just not willing to put up with some of the things that are considered a norm in romantic relationships. And now this got me thinking, because I also started thinking about it to say, which is it really? Is it one of the two? Is it both? What is it? Are we just those people that are impatient? And she was making examples about a beautiful wedding she attended 2 years ago, and that the couple unfortunately broke up. They're no longer together. And yeah, there's lots of examples of that, unfortunately, So this is what sparked the conversation. This is what got us here. Because honestly, if you think about it, it is becoming a norm, unfortunately, to experience, to hear of beautiful couples that are together for a little while, and then before you know it, hey, it's over, you know. So unlike our parents, unlike our grannies, hayi sana ingathi siyahluleka apha kwa marriage and relationships.
Oh my word, like I'm going through my people as well in my head, and I'm like, as you're saying, okay, who do you know that's had a relationship that long? And I remember when my friend asked me, when we hit our 10-year mark, she was like,
Yeah.
what? 10 years? How do you guys do it? And I was like, hey, what do you mean? One person, like, yes, one. So yeah, it is very interesting that that is the conversation that we have to have. Like, what's happening? Why are relationships just so hard to maintain, or are they hard to maintain, or is it a matter of there are new elements that were not there in the past that have now become a reality in the way that we are relating now in this day and age that make it hard for us to sustain relationships. Like you're saying, it's becoming rare to hear people saying it's been 10 years, it's been 15 years, it's been 20 years that we've been together. And those that are together, it seems like it's a pedal upstream. It's an upstream swim, G.
Don't
That's going on. Hey, it's like an uphill battle, G. To even sustain a relationship. So, what did you guys end up saying?
Well, we didn't really come to a conclusion. But when I thought about it on my own, I was like, I think that our generation is unwilling to put up with some of the expectations, for lack of a better word, that come with relationships, and more especially marriage, because relationship, I think people still have a little bit of room to wiggle and do their thing. Because also there is that element of people being together for quite some time, and being quite okay. But the minute they make it official,
yeah, that does happen.
That sentence to what was a very beautiful relationship, So I think that one, we love what we saw from our grandparents, from our mothers. We like the fact that they stuck together. But I think that because, I think it's because it's also normal. This is uncharted territory, right? So the best thing to do is to ask people who have been there and to sort of model what has been done for all this time, right? And I think that once people get into it, they realize, is this what I'm supposed to do? And I think usually kuba need disagreement where one is like, but why not? And the other is like, I'm not going to do this. Yeah, but I thought we were different. I thought we were modern people. I mean, we are no longer those old traditional people. Why now do you want to? And usually I think it's women, because I'm finding also that men don't have much of a problem with the traditional setup of things, because I mean, it serves them and it suits them, and that's just the truth. The marriage institution favors men over women, and I think women right now are looking at it and are like, but I'm bringing so much more to the table, but you still cannot confine me to the traditional role where being married means sort of like that I have to stunt myself, I have to stunt my growth, I have to. There's a lot of I have to, especially on the woman's side, and they're just unwilling, they are just unwilling, and there's pressure from extended families. It's just a lot, so that's one aspect of it. I'm sure there's many, but I mean, I would think Guguti, that is the one where people are mainly just disappointed with their partners because I thought I was dealing with a man or modern, well, we're 2023, and now he wants to go all traditional and patriarchal on me. No, we are born. And also, I'm expected to put up with things that just don't go down so well, and I'm told, it's how it's always been done, and people are like, I, not, so yeah, I think those are just also just some. There's a lot of reasons if you have to just get to it. Yeah, it's a lot, really.
Yeah, it really
It's
is a lot. But as a person who deals with this on a daily, and I get to hear different versions and different reasons that people give for their struggle with maintaining and sustaining a quality of relationship that they would want for themselves. What it boils down to is three things.
Yeah.
So compatibility being first thing. That when there's a bit of a lack of attention to compatibility, to long-term compatibility, when people initiate and start a relationship. What do I mean? I mean, in the beginnings of a relationship, because we come together primarily because we share thoughts, we connect, we have chemistry in the way that we think, we connect in the way that we feel or have opinions about certain things, then people don't take the time to think further than that initial connection when they make the decision to enter a relationship and make it official, as you say. And then the other thing is now this one is always very interesting.
Yeah.
But really it's spiritual illiteracy. True. Like people not even considering the spiritual implications, the spiritual aspects and meanings and purpose around relationship. It's just people are unaware, are just completely ignorant to that aspect of relationship. That's a big one. Like there's a shock almost to what do you mean spiritual aspect of a relationship. Bible, I mean, I'm here for my joy. And then the other one is just that level of superficiality. Like people just don't want to go deep. Like people just don't want to go deep. The shallow intimacy. And the funny thing is, from what I observe, it takes the same amount of effort to avoid going deep than it does, because ultimately you're putting up an act. It takes the same amount of effort to put up an act than it does to just go deep. and so it's just one of those things, I guess. At the foundation of it also is also the lack of education, and the lack of knowledge around the purpose as well as the function of relationship. Because we really, I think, because for most of us, the generations before us had very long marriages, because they were clear on what is the purpose of this marriage. It was purpose driven. And the purpose was more than how you make me feel and how we make each other feel. I think that was just a secondary, if you're like, it was just never an issue. But now we are leading with the how do you make me feel, how do I make you feel aspect of. And now growth happens. There's no on and off button to growth.
Mm.
And when the growth happens in a relationship that is not grounded in purpose, where there isn't a clear function around the relationship, then things fall apart. That's what I've seen.
I think also what is killing us the most is we are a TV and movie generation. And what we saw being modeled on TV and on movies is not really what this whole thing is about, you know. And I think it's the stuff that is misleading, and it's the stuff that is leading to so much disappointment. We forget that the purpose of all those things is to entertain, you know, that some aspects of it will mimic real life, but that mostly they just don't. They're very unrealistic. And we want to base our real lives, the unscripted, unfiltered lives, on stuff that you see on movies and on TV. And like you say, I think what is happening is that marriage, especially in our generation, is serving as a form of and a platform for spiritual awakening. People obviously get into it being in love, and I think people treat marriage as an extension of their dating life. Yabo, now we're just continuing, we're taking it a level higher, but without the full understanding of what that could entail. Because you see, the other thing is that relationships by their very nature, and especially when you go into something as sacred, because also you see that's another thing that people miss out on. Marriage is very sacred. Okay. And this thing has a life of its own. You can have all of the plans before it happens. It's good to have the conversations. It's good to talk about expectations. It's good to talk about the kind of life you'd like to live. But it's also equally important to leave room for this thing to become what it was meant to be. Okay? Because, like I say, it's like having a baby. Okay? People can plan to have a baby. People can wish to have a boy, a girl, or whatever. But that's usually where it ends. How the baby turns out, the personality that they will have, their character and all of that, it's just a matter of you waiting and seeing once this baby is here, alive and breathing. And you have to be led by how this baby is designed, how this baby is wired. And I think the same thing happens for marriage. So when that happens, a lot of people are unwilling to be flexible and go with it because they are so set on the picture that they had going into this marriage. You know what I mean? So, and then also there's that societal pressure of people seeing you and perceiving you a certain way, whatever. You know, again, that's just an individual thing that also gets, you know, dragged into the relationship, which puts unnecessary pressure on the marriage. But also, like you say, more than ever, I think we are just in an era where I don't wanna cast a negative light on it, but a lot of unfinished spiritual stuff is finding room to manifest inside of these marriages, because now it's two families. And you see, this is the other thing, that Tina, we are African. I think just that day, we are black, we are African, right? I'm not even going to attempt to speak for other races. I only know of the black experience. We are black, we are African. When you get married and you go get lobolad, I don't care what your belief system is, you have involved and included families both alive and not living into this union. And stuff that was meant to happen that didn't happen will crop up here. Stuff that should happen that shouldn't have happened, all of that jazz is involved here. And you find that a lot of people get defeated by that. You find that the two people are still very much committed into this thing. They are very much willing to give it, but they are finding time and there's forces greater than us here. And instead of having the patience and the humility to say, okay, we don't know what the heck is going on here, and going back to the people that have been here longer to say, what is going on? We just feel like this is not what I signed up for. Yeah. And in that, we miss out on the purpose for this thing to be existing. Because if you look at it, people who are involved in marriage relationships, even from family point of view, they are there to balance each other out, to complement each other. The other is there to add where there was lack, and vice versa. And it goes both ways. So it's important to do a bit of research, I think. It's important to really just have the humility to say that, hey, okay, these are our intentions, but also that when life comes at you as a couple, that you make a pact, okay, whatever comes, we're going to stick together and face it together, and wherever it takes us, we will just ride the wave, really. Because none of the two people getting involved know what's waiting for them on the other side of I do. They really don't know. And these days it's coming in fast and heavy and furious, because I promise you, marriages that make it beyond the 2-year mark are considered blessed in our day and age. They hardly ever make it to beyond the 2-year mark. Even mine didn't. After having been together for 5-6 years, by the time we hit the 2-year mark, the decree was signed. You see, and I'm one of many. So yeah, it's a lot. It really is a lot.
Yeah, you're reminding me of a pastor who said, when you get married, it's like you put a target on the back of your relationship and you automatically become a target for spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting, and it's very true as well, because I remember even with us, I think it was the first 2 years were the hardest. It was like we are getting to know each other for the first time after all these years.
Yeah.
Like there was an uprooting that had to happen. And I guess the advantage being, because we've been together for so long, we were in a position to know that it's not because the relationship is failing,
Yeah.
We knew we were not failing. The relationship wasn't failing. There were just other elements and factors that are at work. And so I just want to shed some light on how that happens and why that happens. Because as I mentioned, that from my experience with the people that I work with and the people and my own personal experience, it is this illiteracy around the spiritual aspects of relationship. And so just to shed some light on the spirituality of relationships, and this is not a religion conversation, it's not a ritualistic conversation. This is just understanding the role and the function, the purpose and the function of a relationship, because that's the biggest misunderstanding. People go into relationships, a lot of us, our desire to even be in a relationship, our desire to even pursue a relationship is because we're trying to fill some void. So
Yeah.
already we enter there with this cloud hanging over us that kind of camouflages our intention for this union, or the purity of our intention for this union.
Yeah.
And when that purity is camouflaged, something has to happen to break away the veil and the layers, so that our pure intention can come to the surface and we can have the experience, the divine and the loving and the feel-good experience that we want. So for many couples, transformation will precede co-creation in relationship. Transformation will precede the divinity of love in relationship, because you are already bringing all this pain, which is the reason behind the void you are trying to fill in. And so these are the functions of a relationship: communication, intimacy, all of these things. Now, instead of being of you being able to use them to build and strengthen your bond, they become triggers. They become triggers that pose a threat onto the sustainability of the relationship. And this is because we don't have the fundamental understanding of what purpose and what role and what function is our relationship going to have. And when we don't take the time to solidify or create an alliance and agreement around these topics, then it becomes hard to sustain the relationship, because then it becomes circumstantial. The circumstances dictate now. The circumstances dictate the quality of the relationship, because we haven't grounded ourselves in the knowledge of, okay, this is the purpose of the relationship. Yes, it may come from a void. I may want companionship. I may want companionship, connection, all of these things, because I have this void that I want to fill from my past needs that were violated in whatever manner. Fine, but in some level, there needs to be a transformation where it's no longer just me looking to fill a void, but now it's me wanting to have an experience of myself, wanting to have an expression of myself that is aligned with my authenticity, that is authentically me. So just to shine a light so that people understand, your relationship everybody's relationship is this. Everybody's relationship will function as a pathway to your evolution.
Yeah.
These are the spiritual aspects. Your relationship will function as a pathway to your evolution. Why? Because the relationship is a portal for creation. You move from being a consumer to being a creator when you enter this entity of marriage and relationship. Because now it's like you've bought a plot at the harbor. You've bought a plot at the harbor, and now you hold the keys to the portal that brings life from the unseen into the seen, because that's what we do. That's one of the fundamental functions of a relationship. When we come together and co-create a whole human being from what seems like thin air, a whole 2 seconds of joy, and then a whole human being that is going to be here for a very long time. So it is a portal. Yeah. It is a spiritual portal. And it doesn't only just deliver babies. It delivers consciousness. It delivers levels of consciousness. It heightens our levels of consciousness, because there are certain things that you will just never be privy to, you will just never experience if you do not get into a union that is that deep, And so it's not just where we go because we are looking to have somebody to spend. That having somebody, that companionship, it opens portals to certain things. There is consciousness that needs to be awakened for you to be able to create the companionship. Now, before you can enjoy the companionship, a lot of us have to dig out a lot of dirt that was in the way. And so when that happens, that's when people think, this relationship is failing. Kanti, the relationship is not failing. Kanti, you are not failing in relationship. It's just the natural path of evolution that is happening within the relationship, so that you can take your status and own your status and be in your state of being a creator now, that you are engaging in this thing. So I think that's the simplest way to explain it without going religious, without going into all these fancy labels that are going on.
Yeah. For me, because we are speaking about the spirituality, and I want people to understand, Uti, here, because our starting point is that of a conscious relationship, not umjolo. Yabo? Because, and the reason why it's important for us to distinguish is that, umjolo, man, is just one of those. We've touched on it here several times. But if you are really serious about being in a relationship that is conscious, where you understand this thing will be, can equally give you joy and challenge you to grow, and allowing it to do that, then you will understand why we are touching on the depth of a sacred union such as marriage. And there is a Bible scripture that I want to quote, which sometimes you understand things theoretically until the practical presents itself. And this Bible scripture says, "Can two walk together if they are not equally yoked?" And I think it's Amos 3:3. What that is and what that means is that you have to be of one accord. It does not say you have to be the same. It does not say you have to agree on everything. But you have to come off the same base. You have to be turning the same page as a couple. Do you understand? In order for this thing to work. So you have mentioned things, Uguti. I mean, because we are human beings and we're having this experience, and relationships will pull out stuff, the weeds, the fruit, and everything else, right? But you have got to go into it first and foremost, being very much serious about your commitment and understanding that things will come, things that you anticipated, things you didn't anticipate, things you thought of, things you didn't think of, and I always like making an analogy of having a baby. Everybody, when they're expecting a baby, you only think of great things. Oh, my child will be clever, my child will be healthy, all of it, ne? Yes, then you find that maybe but then, oh my gosh, this child has a condition. You will do what you need to do to make sure this child is okay. Yabo. You will not say that I wanted a healthy baby. The child is here now. Yeah. Deal with the stuff, deal with the condition that this child has, so that you heal the condition even, So I think we can apply the same understanding when it comes to marriage, Uguti. And the most interesting thing that I'm finding and that I'm observing with a lot of couples, people go into marriage, like while they're still dating, they are fine, they're working, they have great careers, they're doing well. The minute they get married, financial ruin just befalls them. And in our day and age, that is like, because now, how do you even begin to build a life when your finances are ruined? And that becomes one of the very first challenges a lot of couples face. And then they break. And then people will then come up with things that would say, no, they broke up because of money. It's not the money. It's not the money. But I think what happens is that while deep in the situation, there is no agreement on how to, deal and face and address the situation that you are finding ourselves in, you know. So it's things like that. It's things like that where, but also things like that can provide an opportunity for you guys to get to know each other on a very different level. Because we all want to know each other when we're putting our best foot forward. But what happens when the not so nice stuff happens? Yeah, but and I tell you that the couples who have survived those difficulties have such wonderful stories to tell of how they made a choice to stick together as a team and fight the enemy, being whatever situation that was presenting itself to them at that given moment in time. Yeah, but so indaba zabo finger pointing, they don't work. Indaba zokuthi you listen to other people outside of your union. Yes, it's good to take advice, but whatever final decision you make together as a couple has to come from the two of you ultimately, you know. But if you are going to place other people's opinions over that of your partners, then you are opening the door to so many unnecessary things, and it's going to cause a rift between the two of you. Yeah, so yeah, it's such things that people have issues with that I'm observing. People, you know, there's people who will say, I'm good with figuring it out. Other people are like, no, I need to hear from my mom. I need to hear from my friends. I need to hear. And then, Kanti, whose relationship is this? And a lot of people then will crumble really when faced with especially difficulties, because, you know, when it's nice and rosy, it's okay, you can ride, you know, and you can keep covering up until times go bad, and then you'll be reminded yeah, it's because you used to do 1, 2, 3 back in the day when things were good. If you hadn't done ABC, we wouldn't be here. You know. So I think people just need to be cognizant of the seriousness of what they are doing, and the maturity it demands. The maturity it demands. It really needs one to get over yourself very quickly. Marriage needs you to get over yourself, even if it's a relationship that you take seriously, a conscious way. You know, you really, and when I say you need to get over yourself, I'm not saying gloss over issues. You need to fix and heal the stuff that's standing in your way of having a great relationship here. I get you came here to have fun. You came here to experience a loving experience and all of the joy and all of the nice stuff that comes with being in a relationship. So make sure that you work on and fix and heal and cure the things that are standing in your way of doing it. If it's a you problem, attend to your problems, so that you don't drag them here and nanje, they contaminate this union. Take accountability, take responsibility. Understand that also we're busy reflecting each other here. We're busy reflecting each other. And yes, your partner may be doing X, but what part are you playing in that happening? And get over yourself so that you're able to have like a helicopter view and then start, you know, seeing things objectively more than just being personal and being childish. Because I think a lot of the times people are very childish when it comes to issues. And abanye a lot look back and say, if only I'd applied a little maturity, would still be together. And that's very unfortunate. Yeah, very unfortunate.
Yeah. So self exploration there to help those who are wondering, how do I get to maturity? It's really just self-exploration, exploring all aspects of yourself so that you can know when you are at your peak, when you are at your lowest and needing support, because really it is that. It is we always laugh, you know, because 1 week I'm the one who's saying, yes, I get it, you know, don't worry, when I love you, got this. Next week, he's giving me the pep talk about the same that I was giving him a pep talk about just the other week. So it really is that. And the you problem. That is so important. Knowing the difference between this is a me problem and this is a relationship problem, you know?
Yeah.
And if for a person who doesn't know how to tell the difference, a me problem is a problem that I'm saying if I was with somebody else, if I was with somebody else, I would not have this problem. If I was with somebody else, and so let's say, for example, the problem is money, like you were saying, or intimacy, the common ones, money, intimacy, communication, you know. So if you're having a communication breakdown and you're looking at...
Let me get some extra light. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so you have to get to that point where, again, through self-exploration, this maturity, this accountability, this responsibility that relationships demand, that sacred unions demand, is you being able to understand and distinguish between this is a relationship as problem and this is a me individual problem that's requiring me to go and do some personal growth. Yeah, well, meaning if this problem wouldn't exist, so I wouldn't be broke, my financial situation wouldn't be what it is if I was with somebody else. My sex life wouldn't be what it is if I was with somebody else. My communication would be better. I'd be a better communicator if I was with somebody else. That takes some investigation to do. And if that is the case, then the problem there is a relationship problem because it's a compatibility problem.
Yes.
No, yes, I'm doing my work, I'm growing, we are incompatible, and no matter what aspects and what transformations and what changes, no matter how much I try to adapt, I'm adapting to the level of losing myself. Then that's a relationship problem. It's a compatibility problem. But if this problem would be there, whether I was with John Bafana, a Biggie Sipo, Tandega Mavis, then it's a me problem.
It's a me problem. Yeah.
Then it's a me problem.
True.
I need to go and deal with my shadows that are bringing up this problem. I need to go and deal with my karmic imprints, with my belief systems. Now, that doesn't mean that my partner and I, because here's now another mistake, now that doesn't mean that my partner and I go and make me a project in this relationship, because that's what people do. Immediately, umuntu say, oh, yes, when that is a childhood wound of yours, and then now they attempt to fix the... No, there's nothing to fix with me. Like I said, a relationship is a portal. So this relationship has said, I am going to be a portal for this darkness to exit. That's what the relationship wants to do. It wants you to direct communication. It wants you to direct love. It wants you to direct compassion. It wants you to direct all of these things and components so that the portal door opens and this aspect moves out. Because that's how the relationship wants to serve you. When you've identified that. So you're not going to be now coming and making each other projects and trying to fix each other. All you're doing is you are unveiling the layers. And a person's loyalty to say, and own up and responsibility to say, you know what, I recognize that I am bringing this thing into the relationship. And it is never one-sided. You may both not be aware of this thing in your partner yet. Like I'm saying, with my husband, it's going to be, hey, don't worry, you got this. Then 2 weeks later, say call again. 2 weeks later, say call again. But the very same thing. Very same thing. Because God relationship is a like for like. It's a like. That equally yoked thing works whether you are aware of it or not. It is a like for like. And then the other thing that a common mistake is confusing love with resonance. And resonance, confusing love with resonance. Love is more of, it's fluid, man.
Yeah.
It changes, you know. It's even seasonal. It's even seasonal, and that's why there's love. That's why there's love languages. It's evolutionary. Resonance is that energetic match. It's being an energetic match all the time, which creates the connection where love can operate. Without the resonance, love is not going to have a playing ground. So when we practice, love is learned. That's why in the olden days, in those marriages that lasted forever, they said you will learn to love each other as long as there was the resonance. But now we wanna lead with love, and we totally ignore the resonance. So that's another one of the barriers that this also misconception or even unawareness of the difference between love and resonance, and people thinking that we need to, yes, love, beautiful, and the thing is, because love is so innate in all of us, like there literally is nothing that we like, no efforts whatsoever. It's in you. It's in you. It's like flipping a switch. It's like flipping a switch. But resonance, that connection, we cultivate that. You know, we become aware of it. We use it.
That's true.
We are able to fine tune it. We're able to, you know, it's just there. We need to dance with it.
Yeah.
So
it's that switch between mind and heart, and knowing when to use. Yeah, and some people want to be stuck on one gear. I mean, even when you drive, you can't be driving a car and you are on one gear, either it's gear 1, 2, even when you're driving a manual. Come on, you know, you've got to keep engaging. And I think for some people, where now you have to use this, oh, you don't love me anymore. Look, there's aspects of a relationship that will not be romantic. You know, that will just not be romantic.
You're very nice portion at that.
You know,
very large portion of relationship is not romantic. Romance is like 100 years old. Really.
So when you have things to do, when you have, because also when you've now taken it to the marriage level, remember, Oguti, there's things like family involved. There are roles there to be fulfilled where you will have to serve. So, like I say, you will have to get over yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? As in, you may not be the most domesticated person in your house with your partner, that's okay. But for that one particular event that happens once in a blue moon, come on, pull up your sleeves, show up. Not because you are people pleasing, but because you showing up fully in that role serves your relationship. It gives it an opportunity for you guys to grow and experience different aspects of yourself.
It's this one word that everybody wants that you're talking about, Renan. People are saying, I want loyalty. I want loyalty. And people fail to be loyal to their union. Because loyalty says holding this thing to its highest regard. You're not performing for anyone, but you are expressing the level of respect, the level of commitment. You are playing out, or you are displaying your loyalty to the union.
nje. It's as simple as when you have a job, when you have a career, there are rules and regulations that are set by the company that you're just going to have to adhere to. When they say work starts at 9 and knockoff is 5 o'clock, okay? Before you can get to the point where you negotiate, Uguti, sir, can I come in at 10 because there's heavy traffic where I live, blah, blah. You have to at least have done then coming in at 9 for some time, a considerable time, right? And get to a place where you're saying, look, you've seen me, I have tried, but I'm failing to meet my obligation at 9 o'clock because of the heavy traffic. I am willing, however, to come in at 10 and knock off at 6. And based on how punctual you have been with the 9 o'clock, only then will the boss consider making that flexible for you. Manje Tina, we want to come in already changing the rules. You can't change rules of a game that you don't understand and that you have not participated in long enough. Only the people who have played and applied by the rules and applied the rules of a certain game would have earned the right to then say, okay, let me rig the system this way and that way. So one thing that I can tell you, Mina, that also I'm seeing is that education and westernization is turning out to be our biggest hurdles for our generation when it comes to relationships and especially marriage. We take things from other races and nations and we say, no, I want to do it this way. Zibegwa, kanjani, kanjani. It doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, you have to understand it is an institution. That part, don't get it twisted. It is an institution. It is an institution. So I think also one of the questions people should be asking before getting in, check yourself. Are you built for the institution? Are you able to abide by the rules of the institution? How much of yourself are you willing to change in order for you to be in this institution and make it work? But don't come in from the get-go wanting to change things. You have got to understand it first. And it's also one of those things, like I said, it's an entity all on its own, right? It takes a life form of its own. You have got to give yourself the time. Give yourself time, guys. We don't give ourselves enough time to understand this thing of where we are, because the boyfriend you had and the husband you will get are not the same.
Yeah, two different people.
Not the same. Not
and
even now.
Still going to change even over time.
I will always credit my relationship and my marriage for having turned the girl in me in a woman. Before I met my ex, I was a girl. And mind you, I wasn't very young when I got married. I was in my 30s. And I thought I was mature. And I thought I was grown. But until I got into that serious relationship, which then led to a marriage, I came out there with the full understanding that, I walked in there a girl and walked out a woman, because that thing required and challenged me to grow and challenge things about myself and situations, and to also understand that, it's not always about me and it's not always about my partner catering to my needs. There's things here to be done. Life goes on, and this thing, hey, if you are not here, you're gonna wake up as whoopee. You understand that? You need to be present. You need to be mature. You need to get over yourself. You understand that? It's simple things that people will look down and will say, whether you like it or not. There are things that when your partner is a reflection of you, whether you like that notion or not, it's true. Your partner is a
I think the confusion when I know, because you've been mentioning this, like throughout our chat, the fact that you need to get over yourself. I think the reason why it is so hard for a lot of people, especially in the times that we're living in, to get what that concept means, is because there's so much emphasis on know your way, love yourself.
yes, that's
Yeah,
me.
yeah. There's, but that doesn't mean that become self-absorbed.
Yes.
So now there's a struggle between where does me start and finish, and I can tell you this is real. Like when I'm coaching couples, they the imbalance and the lack of harmony between maintaining my individuality and my uniqueness and keeping my significance to belonging. To how do we belong as individuals in this unit and entity? So it's a very intricate act. And the funny thing is, when we're looking at our human needs, the need for significance and the need for belonging are in paradox to each other. When your need for significance is over prioritized, and you prioritize your importance and your individuality to the point that it violates what needs to happen and who you need to be in order to maintain and sustain belonging, not fitting in, belonging, the connection of belonging. Those two, it's like a seesaw. It's like two sides of one seesaw, and a lot of people struggle with that balance. So we'll see, okay, belonging, too much belonging violates my significance and my individuality sinks. Too much in significance, then it's like it puts it on the other end and the belonging falls off. So it's that dance that needs to happen, that harmony again, which will be bridged by and balanced by that element of resonance, because you will resonate in as much as you and I are very different. We are so different. We are even years apart in our age, in our development, in our life experiences.
Yeah.
But our resonance is what allows us to connect and have our differences not come into factor or come and have create issues between the two of us. Our differences and our individuality come and become the fuel that just heightens the level of resonance. So that becomes the issue for a lot of people, that they don't know how to use resonance and cultivate resonance to strike a balance between I'm an individual. I don't know half the stuff that you know and the work that you do. You don't know half the stuff, but we resonate so well. It's like we work together every single day. We don't. We don't even solve the same type of problems, but we are able to have a conversation as if we're talking about one and the same thing. So that's what resonance does. Resonance is able to blend. It's able to blend and help us become in sync and just click, even though we are different elements and we are different aspects. So that more than love, I think, is the biggest difference. That more than love requires attention, deliberate intention, and focus and investment in cultivating and understanding and learning about. So that's the big thing. So this get over yourself thing doesn't mean go and self-abandon. It doesn't mean go and overextend. People, please do all of these things, because again, when such things trigger you to think of such, it goes back to the superficiality I was talking about. Like, why don't you dig deeper? Like, what does it mean? It goes back to the superficiality that I was talking about that becomes a threat, an enemy to sustainability, an enemy to deeper connection in a relationship.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? It's as simple as, I think what you are talking about in very, very simple terms, like I'm thinking layman terms, is, say for example, we all know in the African context the role of a makoti. Hey, you're supposed to be there at the back with the big black pots cooking and stuff, being busy. So and then you find a nunushem who's cooking, can't be written home about, yabo. You know what it is about? Does it mean Uguti because you are not the best cook around, you completely don't show up, Magpeg? No, you do. But you declare, ladies, I'm sure you want your food to be nice and tasty, ne? I'm not the girl. How else can I help? And you make yourself useful somehow somewhere else where people won't need to be hospitalized after eating your food. It's as simple as that. So people feel like, and people, because are so scared of admitting their weaknesses for fear of judgment, and then they'll throw tantrums and do funny things. Kanti njengoba uyasho ukuthi, guys, I can't cook. I'm not the best cook. My food is substandard, but tell me where else I can be of use, and look for places where you can be of use. And the same to people who are in relationship, where one will be stronger in other things, you know. So find the strengths and work on them. Hand over the reins, you know. So if your partner is great with finances, hand over the reins. Obviously, he will have to come and share that with you. But, you know, this is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. But because he does finances so much better, allow him to do that, and vice versa. And then when you start applying that principle in your own relationship, it'll be easier to do the same when other people have to be involved that are part of your union. Do you know what I mean? So when you go to your in-laws, your partner will be able to back you up. In fact, sometimes you find that you don't actually have to declare about your level of cooking skills. Your partner will find ways of presenting. And then there was presenting actually the wife of my good guy is not the one when it comes to the kitchen. Hey, so where do you want her? That's when there's synergy. What you were talking about is synergy. That resonance is synergy. Synergy doesn't mean kill yourself, doesn't mean to stop being being authentic. No. But just find ways where you can, and places where you can add value and be of service as best as you can without compromising yourself. Then I think you are halfway there. You are halfway there, because I think what then kills other people is, obviously, when you get into a relationship and you are not being true, firstly, about who you are and your needs and your expectations and all of those nice things. This is where you'll find yourself in situations where you are abandoning, you are pretending and overextending yourself. You will crash and burn, obviously. Because this is not you. This is not you. And now people will be having meltdowns. And people are surprised. What's going on now? Because all this time you've been acting as somebody that you are not. And now you have to start over and say to people, actually, this is who I am. And people are like, why weren't you that from the very beginning? And you're like, how? You would have accepted me? And they're like, yeah, we don't care. It's okay. It's fine. Come as you are. So I think that we really, really, really need to understand that things don't happen overnight. Marriages and good relationships are not built overnight. Those things take time, guys. You sleep with someone today, a baby is born 9 months later. You know, these things take time. They require time. But yeah, also, I think another reason, this is another aspect of the conversation we were having, another reason why our marriages don't last anymore is because it's also presenting us with a chance to rewrite the script and actually relook at the things that are no longer working. Yeah, because most people want to use the old script and copy and paste onto the time that we are in now. It just won't work. Yeah, but there's a lot of misbehaviors that were acceptable back in the day to our mothers and grandmothers because they were then marriage served as a form of survival financially, materially, and all of that, you know. And sometimes people still expect the same things to still go down, and it's just not going to fly anymore. So if it's built on those bases, and hence I mentioned that scripture earlier, Uguti, can two people work together if they are not equally yoked? Because you have got to have a common understanding of what this marriage thing is. Yabon. And be honest. Don't just say things to hook umuntu when you know very well. If you know when ukuthi wena uzofuna isithembu, be upfront before, not after the fact, so that this woman or man, because polyandry, walks in knowing ukuthi, hey, there'll be more of us here in future. Yeah, but whatever, just be upfront about what your definition of this thing is. Be upfront, because then maybe, like you said, I think it goes back to that compatibility, which, you know, some people will say, yeah, go along. And then once inside be like, no husband of mine is going to do this. No wife of mine is going to, I will. These are the conversations you were supposed to have before.
Yeah. You see, now you're touching on something else. You're touching on something else. The marriage will change them. Marriage will change him. Marriage will change her. There's also that approach as well. That it doesn't happen. It really doesn't, unless the person wants to change. And unless the person wants to change, they are not going to change. So compatibility, like, there is no emphasizing it enough. There is no emphasizing it enough. A person is what they will, and will always be what they choose to be. But I wanted to go back to the thing that you've been mentioning about just express yourself honestly, and maybe to offer some confidence for somebody who's struggling to express authentically and just say, no, Mina, I can't cook. No, Mina. Rejection, judgment, they will always be there. They are there. They are part of the package. And so I think another thing that we need to change in our approach to relationships is the romance and the wanting it to be good, the wanting to take the light without the dark. I remember I had this conversation with my husband the other day. I'm like, but in order for you to know how bright you can shine, you need to really be immersed in the darkness. Otherwise, you're just not going to know how bright you can shine. So this wanting things to only be good all the time and to be only going on, there are no matter how thin you slice a lemon, Tony Robbins always says this, it'll always have two sides. So no matter how thick or thin you love your partner, you love your husband, you will always experience their shadow side. You'll always experience it just comes with the territory. No matter how long a day is, night will fall. That's just the experience we are here to have. So I think maybe acknowledging, accepting, and then embracing the realities, because it is a reality. Will you experience judgment? Yes. Will you experience rejection? Yes. It doesn't make your marriage suffer or not work, or it's just part of the package. It's just part of the package. Are there annoyances? Yes, it's just part of the package. So I think it's also the expectations as well that make it hard for relationships to last. Like expecting to be loved and accepted by everyone. It's not gonna happen.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, never that.
It's not gonna happen.
No.
Expecting to be received. No, it's not gonna happen. So that one is a real just get over. Like really.
Exactly.
Don't even it's not gonna happen. So it's what we choose to hang on to. When I'm saying those voids, the voids that the purpose that we give to our relationships becomes the problem. You're not going to be loved by everyone. You are going to experience judgment. You're going to experience rejection. It's part of the territory. It's not. It doesn't mean anything about you personally. Half the time, it's just people expressing themselves by pointing the finger at you. It's not even anything to do with you, because people are only receptive and accepting of others to the level that they are receptive and accepting of themselves. So Vela, a person who has a low threshold of love and a low capacity of love, is not going to love a big, loud, self-confident person. They're going to feel intimidated and threatened and insecure. Where are they going to find the time to go deep now and look for the love to give you? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So be at peace. Be at peace. It's that this is what they mean when they say know your worth. Be at peace. Be at peace. That is what it is.
So I can't stress enough the importance of maturity and getting over yourself. Because when you've done that, even when somebody comes and says something that will be upsetting, maturity is being able to sometimes stand up for yourself, to say, I will not tolerate the treatment from you, in-law. Where you're not forever hiding behind your partner and sending them to fight your battles. Sometimes it just means facing up to umuntu, adult to adult, and say, I understand you expected somebody who knows how to cook, but you will not bully me and mistreat me because I am not able to do that. I asked you how else I can help. If you don't have any answers to offer, I see again. Trust you me, that person will walk away respecting you, no matter if they throw a tantrum, but they will know, this one Shem can stand up. Because some people will test you, man, in these things. So if you're going to use that as a barometer of how well or how badly your marriage is doing, then you're not going to go very far. Some of the things you need to face up on your own and tell your partner later with, hey, Pella, this happened. Without you, because if you're gonna act like we are in crash and you're 4 years old, every single thing that happens you go to report. So and so said this to me, so and so did this to me. Come on. So honestly, that maturity, and that also involves your partner, because your partner sometimes will try you. Okay, they will try you to see just how much they can push. And you need to be like, hey, I love you very much. I'm in here with, but that behavior won't fly. And would you stop right there? without you burning the house down, those are two mature people who are relating, because a lot of these marriages end not for a lack of love, but because the relating part just was not working out. It's the relationship usually. It's the relating part that usually does not work. But people break up with so much love still in their hearts. Yeah, so which should make us think, Uguti, love on its own is not enough to keep a relationship or a marriage going. There's a whole lot of components that come together to make up this love that we are looking for in order for this thing to work. Just like a car, there's a part that petrol plays or diesel or whatever. There's water, there's oil, there's this, there's that, there's that, there's that. All of those things combined, serving their purposes in this one thing called a car, will make sure that this car moves, So it's being able to identify what your relationship needs at a particular time and who it needs you to be when.
Yeah.
Why is it calling you to be in this particular time? Who is it calling you to be? Is it calling you to step up? Because you can't be honey baby lovey all the time. There's times when you should be that, granted. Yeah, but there's times when you should be honey shooby-doo. Yes, it's all great. But there's other times where you have to be Mrs. So-and-so and hold the fort. And when he has to be Mr. So-and-so and hold the fort. And when you have to be so-and-so's mom. And you understand? It's knowing how to read situations. It's knowing and understanding who it's calling you to be at a particular time. Yeah, and I think most importantly, understanding that all of the things that work. Always remember, you are the team. You are a team with your partner against whatever that's coming in. The minute you start facing off and looking at each other as enemies and adversaries, it's game over. That guy, I can tell you, it's game over. It's game over. Whatever issue or problem coming into your relationship or your marriage, it's the two of you against it, not the two of you against each other. Because at that particular point in time, one of you has teamed up with this problem, and it's not going to end well. It is not. At all times, you've got to look and find each other and ask yourself, how are we tackling this? And then come up with a strategy to defeat this thing. Because I promise you, that is because you allow it once. Okay. You allow it once, it grows, it piles up, and it drives a wedge between the two of you. And before you know it, you are way too far apart to find your way back to each other. And the damage is done. So that's one thing people should understand. And hence, I will keep saying, can two work together if they are not agreed? Can two work together if they are not agreed? You have got to find agreement. You may not start off agreeing, but you have got to find agreement. And you have got to look for each other. Don't lose each other, because sometimes it comes unexpectedly and it comes in angles you were not, but after the shock, be like, hey, where's my teammate? Where's my teammate? Find each other, come up with a strategy, and work against this thing. Yeah, the minute you fail to do that, you've opened that, and it's the type of door that's very difficult to close once it's been opened. And then from there, it's a slippery slope to the end. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It
really,
is.
for me, it's the perception above all else. Like, and the fears that we have collected because of perception. Like there will be seasons of unhappiness. Don't be afraid of being unhappy in your relationship. Don't. You know, there will be season where happiness is just dololo. Why? Because there's cleaning up that needs to be, the relationship is calling you to be something else than hanky dory ton. Stuff that when you are high on happiness, you're not going to be able to do. That doesn't mean the relationship is failing. There will be seasons of unhappiness. There will be seasons of confusion. It's this embracing all aspects of a relationship.
All the seasons.
All the seasons, you know, it's not always going to be roses and flowers all the time. And I think that's the biggest thing. Fear, if I were to answer the question that you asked, why don't relationships last anymore? It's because people are afraid. And that fear manifests. People are afraid of losing their relationship. People are afraid of failing in their relationship. People are afraid of being unhappy. And they walk away and become more miserable. Because if you had just faced the unhappiness when it came and gotten the gift behind it and gotten the glory behind it, behind every misery, every shadow, there's glory. That's what you were talking about earlier on, that the couples who've gone through the most come out with the most amazing stories to tell. Because it's like mining. You have to dig through the dirt to get to the diamond. It's just how it works. And I think it's the one-sidedness of it. It's the idea that we were told that it's supposed to be one-sided, and this bright, colorful summer rosary all year round side is what we must look for in relationship. It doesn't happen.
Movies.
And that is just a movie. This is just a reality that we need to accept. And I know the amount, I had the same resistance, believe me, the amount of resistance that people get. No, hey, we are tired of all people telling us, I had the same resistance as well. That is the one reason why I stayed unmarried and never changed my surname for a very long time. Because I was resisting that. But I didn't get the wisdom behind it. I didn't get what they were telling me. The seasons will always be there. And because now we want that fairy tale. Now, fairy tale, there isn't a single one where they didn't have to overcome. Not a single one. People get, with that middle piece, we forget it. We jump straight from once upon a time and they live happily ever after. The middle piece, I see. So we can't even blame the movies, because the movies are showing us reality. There isn't a single love story where we love them so much because they had to overcome. That's why we love them. They become our favorite couple because of what they had to overcome. But in our relationships, we want to skip the overcoming piece. That's not once upon a time there was a Nunu, and she lived happily ever after. Oh, then she didn't have to accept the beast as the beast. Oh, she didn't have to fall into a slumbering sleep. Oh, she didn't have to scrape pots and wash pumpkins and talk to animals. How? It's there. We can't even explain the movies now, because, like, really, every love story we've ever watched, there has been so many adversities, and the more the adversity they face and the challenges and the more we fall in love with them.
Shouldn't be scared, man.
Why is Megan and Harry, what's his name? It's Harry, right? Relationship all over there because of the adversity behind the story. It's everybody's adversity. We fall in love with their adversity and their ability to overcome adversity. That's what we really fall in love with. But we don't even notice it. Superficiality.
I don't know why we expect relationships to be different from life itself. Life is not for the faint-hearted, and the same goes for relationships. You know, super weak, man. You can't be weak going into a relationship. It's not weak. You need to be, you know, yes, how you relate to each other. There will be moments where you need to be soft, definitely. Please, I'm not saying people must be brutal. No, 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 no. How you relate to each other must come from a place of softness and treat each other like the precious gems that you are there. Yabo? Kodwa, you can't apply the same approach to problems, to adversity. And you're facing a problem. I said that there's no time to be weak. You need to
Full on
speed lapha.
mode. Warrior mode.
Yeah, so people do the opposite. People switch. People become brutal to each other and cower in the face of problems when they should be doing. Yeah, people become brutal towards each other. Kanti, if they take this brutality and apply it to the problems, but treat each other with kindness, it will always be in fashion. I don't care what season you are in as a couple. Kindness. You know, it's things like about conflict resolution. Major reasons why people break up, because people will say the most hurtful things. It's that brutality, you know, and do the most hurtful things to the people they have said they love, and then want to hide behind, oh, but I was angry.
I didn't mean it.
It scars someone. Your words have an impact. Your actions have an impact. So, like Nishoniti, that brutality, apply it to the situation, not your partner. Your partner is not your enemy. Yeah, but it's this problem that's creeping in, that's threatening to, that should be, obliterated. Not your partner. If you obliterate your partner, who you gonna have after you've conquered the problem? No one. You're gonna be all on your own now. You see, so I think it's those tactics, man, that people need to learn. Which always first rule, and the one rule that never changes in this whole thing: your partner is not your enemy. Your partner is in your team. You should always be in the same team. You're always and forever betting for the same team. Apply brutality to the problem and not to the partner. Yeah, get over yourself. Really, just get over yourself and grow up. Grow up. This thing will force you to grow up. Just grow up. Because into zabantu abadala lezi, such things into zabantu abadala. So if you're coming in as a spoiled brat, daddy's little girl, mama's boy, Hashem, forget it. Then you still need some more training, home training, and a bit more upbringing. If you're coming in as daddy's little princess or mommy's little boy, this is not for you, Sanalwa. You still need to go home. We ought to cooler some more. Because it doesn't work. You can't be like, my daddy this, my daddy this. Where's this? You sound like this is a crash. My daddy this, my daddy, my mommy this, my mommy this. Aibo. This is grown folks stuff. This grown folks. Grown folks stuff. Yeah, where you have to sometimes, old people would say things and you're thinking, you forgive the unforgivable. Grown folk stuff. Because at that moment you choose to get over yourself without losing yourself. You get over yourself and deal with the situation. Grown folk stuff. Not talking abuse. I'm not talking, no. But I'm just saying, grown folk stuff. Yeah, but so if sisakhali sayintezi elementary, it is not for you. It is not for you. If you're still referencing mom, dad, you still need approval, you need validation. Not for you. Not for you.
Yeah.
Not for you, because at some point you have got to be able to even face up to the person you respect the most, the person who raised you, who will say, why are you doing things like this? And say, in my house, we do it this way. Guam. Ekaya, where you raised me, yes, that's how it's done. In my house, mom, kulu, gogo, whoever, I do it this way. And stand by it and be able to back it up. And that requires maturity. And for you to be able to deliver such things, you need to be mature enough to deliver it respectively, with respectfully, but with authority. And that requires maturity. So hence I say, if you're not done being a child, I mean, I get someone who completes growing, right? But if you're not done being a child, being a daddy's girl, a mommy's boy, do not enter. It's not for you. Grown folk stuff, this.
Yeah. And it's funny you should say it's grown folk stuff, because in that delivering and that expression, like for example, when you have to get to a point of drawing the line and setting those boundaries, in order for those, and it goes back to the spiritual literacy that I was talking about, in order for that to be received, you need to understand on what capacity you are operating on. So it's very, very important to take the time to learn the game before you play the game.
Exactly.
Because the lack of spiritual literacy that is at play, and relationships are more spiritual than they are physical. The lack of spiritual maturity, spiritual literacy, spiritual awareness and consciousness is what creates all these arbitrary problems, all these elementary problems, as you call them, because we don't understand what's happening at that time. You don't understand the embodiment. When you were speaking, you said, understand what the relationship is calling you to be, who is calling you to be at that time. Because in that moment, maybe when you're standing up to whoever it is, it's not you. You are just, your body is just a vessel for a long time standing karmic nonsense that comes to an end on that day. You are literally a curse breaker on that day with an army of 10,000 in that moment. But if you don't have the spiritual maturity to know that, the spiritual literacy, that is the biggest thing. This superficiality and this prioritizing appearances, if you're going to waste your energy, go waste it on something that is not going to cause you suffering. Because now people go into relationship and they waste their time by being afraid to transcend superficiality, by being afraid to gain the spiritual literacy that is necessary and required. The reason why we want it to be easy, you said you don't understand why people want it. The reason why we want it to be easy is because we know how powerful and how potent it is. It's like all of us don't understand how is Africa poor. It's the same thing with our relationships. It is Africa. But the misunderstanding and the taking for granted of Africa's value is what diminishes it. It's the same with relationship. We know it's this platform for co-creation. We know that this is where we meet our divinity. We know that. We just don't know how. And it's not because we can't find out. The information is there. Number one, we don't want to believe it. Mina, I was the one who was guilty, shame of not wanting to believe it. Like, yeah, people want me to sign up for suffering and geez, it's there. Whether I want to is or not, it's there. Whether anything is, so that grown-up stuff, that maturity stuff, learn the game. It is worth your energy. It is worth your time investment. Learn the game. 3 things I still maintain. Compatibility. Do not ignore compatibility. Do not ignore spiritual literacy when it comes to your relationship. Do not ignore resonance. Love and resonance are not the same thing. If you want to be in sync with your partner, cultivate resonance. Love is automatic. So if you were to master those things, I believe those are the 3 antidotes to making relationships sustainable. Transcend superficiality, gain spiritual literacy about the spiritual aspects of relationships, and prioritize compatibility, like really. And if you recognize incompatibility, don't be shy to face it and eliminate it. Yeah, but me, I believe it's those 3. If we get those, if those 3 are present, the relationship will last. If they are absent, I get the 2-year mark is the 2-year mark. Apparently, it's a 2-year mark. The 2-year mark is a 2-year mark.
I am telling you. Yeah. No shame. And facing up to that incompatibility, as you say, is part of authenticity. To say, it looks like you were looking for type XYZ and I am ABC. Are you able to work around it, or you are stuck on XYZ? Yeah, but because I get umuntu who comes with 10 out of 10 ticks, we understand, but gay, where people are not willing to face the truth, to say, no, not gonna work for me, that's when they just cause misery for other people, and it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. There's things that can be worked on, but there's just some other things. If they are not, yeah, and you need to determine what those are. You really, like you say, with resonance, love is automatic. And like I am saying, people break up not because the love is gone. The love is still there even when they have to. That's why the breakups becomes, they become so filled with drama, because the love is still there, but you also have to now acknowledge that it is just not working out. It's just not working out. And on one level or another, it's just not working out, So, like Nisha meeting maturity, oh my goodness. And yeah, you summed it up so nicely. We really, really, really need to do the work. The work just never stops. And I think that's the other thing that just, people become dismayed. Hey, with just a good relationship, there's always work. It doesn't stop.
That one is a full-time job.
There's work before. There's work during. There's work here, Nini. After. When there's just work all around. It never stops.
There's no pause button.
Not a holiday. And I think that's also another one reason where people are like, we're married now, I've arrived, and they relax. Things will go south. Okay. It's not a holiday. It's not. A lot of people relaxed too much when they got what they wanted and expected things to happen automatically. If you hold that belief, Lasa, very fast, not happening, not working. Yeah. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
That is I.
And yeah, Shem, if anybody is looking to deep dive in all of these concepts, I'm holding a masterclass on the 29th where I'll be giving like practically
please
the A to Z, to Z of what it takes to flourish in love and still thrive in life. So, funny enough, all of life is working, but there is guiding principles all over the place. There's support all over the place. Like I'm saying, study the game. Study the game, play the game, don't play the
Stay
people
in
that you
the
are playing
game.
with.
Stay in the game.
Oh
You know?
yeah, and yes, please stay in the game. Yes, and that's we are here in the game, Ngampela. And just because our scars don't show, don't mean we don't got them. Lalela, yo, warrior princess Ozina la. Someday you are a god. Other days, even Shaka couldn't handle you. Listen, yeah, we are busy. We are all sorts of things all in one. So, yes, Nunu, in closing.
Oh no, man. Just what can I say? Understand that conscious relationships that will ultimately lead to marriage is grown folk stuff. You need to be mature. You need to get over yourself a lot of the time. And that means doing the work on yourself so that you don't drag your toxins into the relationship. And then just understanding it's continuous work. It's just continuous work. At any given time, you're being called to be somebody, to be someone. Yeah, just do that. And I think the fun is the stuff that happens while all of that is happening, honestly. The fun comes when you have surrendered yourself to this process and have given it permission to take you where it will. Yeah, and you're like, it's okay. If you say high, I'll go high. If you say low, I'll go low. And the fun is a result of you just saying yes, because the suffering is a result of the resistance, the kicking and screaming, going against the tide. Yeah, and if you go with it, flow with it, stay together. Your partner is your team member, not your enemy. Always remember that.
Yeah. So for me, I'd say relationship is an entity on its own. It has a life of its own. It's something that we need to respect. It's something that we need to understand. It's something that we need to treat with honor and be loyal to. And it will treat us with the same amount of kindness. I always say that money and relationships, they are soulmates, match made in heaven, because they carry the same characteristics, they carry the same soul. That's why they dribble us so much, because we take them for granted. And we don't give them the respect and the value that we expect from them. We expect a lot from our relationships that we don't want to offer the same in return, and that violates the laws from the get-go in our approach to relationships. So really, humility. I'd say even more than maturity, relationship requires humility, and everything else will just flow. Just humble yourself. If you are saying relationship is something you are choosing as your portion, it will demand, and it will craft, and it will suck out, it will activate the humility in you, because that is exactly what it needs to thrive. That is the oxygen that sustains a relationship. Humility to the entity. Now, when we start to confuse the relationship with the people that get involved, with the 10,000 people that are involved in that thing, and we're thinking, yay, and we're thinking that humility means I must humble myself to the whole. No, humble yourself to the entity that is a relationship. And relationship has a creator. Eh? So when you humble yourself to the relationship, humbling yourself to the creator of the institution. And when you humble yourself to the creator of the institution, you'll be able to listen and hear what the creator of the institution is saying is the mandate that you are entering into. So learn the game, really learn the game. I think the biggest injustice that we do for ourselves is to take it for granted and think that we don't want to be beginners. We don't want to be amateurs. relationship. We want to be professionals in something that we don't even know. We really have no full understanding of. Yeah, give yourself permission to fumble, stumble. It's all part of the process. And get this one-sidedness. After you get over yourself, get over the one-sidedness of the things. No matter how thin you cut things, there's always going to be two sides. The rejection will always be there. The judgment will always be there. And happiness will always be there. It comes with the package. So that one, yeah, after you get over yourself, get over that expectation. So I'm going to see some of you on the 29th. Yes, that's having a humility, vulnerability, and maturity. Amen. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
This was a very hot Miss Peggy Stamp.
And dark one. I was in the darkness, you were in the light, just like relationships.
You know, and some days vice versa. You know, it's what happens. The light and the darkness are dancing together, all at the same time. Yeah, I'll see you in there. So excited. So excited. I'm just crossing my fingers that load shedding, because I've been struggling with load shedding, but I'm very excited about this one because it's the one that I haven't done it this year. Oh, I haven't. No. I've done it once. I haven't this year. Yeah. I haven't done it. I've done the Usiswako Nomdala, but I haven't done this one this year. So I'm very excited because every time I do it, the people that are already working with me are like, "How am I?" It gets just all the time, and it feels the same for me as well. It always just, this is my baby. This is where I like the foundation of everything. So I'm very excited about it. So, yeah. I'll see you guys in there, and we will see you back here in that other week. Thank you so much, Nunu. Thank you for all of you for joining us. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye. Bye.